Thank you, Senator. It is an honor to be here before this committee. I'm Rick Santorum. I'm a former senator from Pennsylvania, former member of Congress from Pennsylvania, ran for president a couple of times. Didn't have the pleasure of running here in the state of Montana. You guys have a late primary, unfortunately, so I didn't get the chance to enjoy your state. But I'm here as someone from Washington, D.C., who knows that town pretty well, just to assure you of one thing. Washington is incapable of fixing itself. It's not that it doesn't want to. It's not that there aren't good people down there. There are a lot of good people. You may hear today that, oh, we just need to elect good people. There are a lot of good people on both sides of the aisle who really care and love this country. Don't doubt that. But the system is broken. And what do I mean by that? The founders created a system in our Constitution that worked and worked well, but it has systematically been changed. People went around and say, well, all we have to do, and they hold up their pocket Constitution, we just have to live by this Constitution, just obey this Constitution. But that isn't the Constitution anymore. It's not in a pocket. The Constitution is actually printed by the General Printing Office, and it's over 3,000 pages annotated. The Supreme Court and amendments to the Constitution have fundamentally changed the Constitution, and all of those amendments have centralized more power in Washington. The founders created a republic, and they believed in federalism. They believed that a powerful central government was the greatest threat to liberty. And they believed that an individual tyrant, a president, should be limited in power. If you look at the Constitution, all the power is given to the Congress and to the states. The president has very little power. That's not true anymore. As Senator McGilvery, I was an opponent of this proposal for a long time. And what actually flipped me and got me to be a proponent was actually the previous administration. I'd been in Congress a long time, and I sort of knew that Democrats liked to centralize power, and that was a good fight, and we disagreed, and one was more centralized power, and one was more decentralized, and that was a good battle. But then I saw President Trump come in, and I supported a lot of what he wanted to do. I just didn't support how he did it. We shouldn't be running by executive orders. We shouldn't be running by rulemaking that's outside of the scope of rulemaking. The president shouldn't be able to forgive $500 billion in debt with a wave of a pen. But more and more and more, that's happening. I don't understand how that doesn't scare you. That doesn't scare that individual members. I'm not worried about a Congress. I'm not worried about a Congress or a legislature. It's hard to get things done in a Congress or a legislature. It makes wheeling and dealing, it's tough. I mean, heck, they can't even vote to pass a speaker in Congress. They can't do much in Congress, but presidents can. And both parties, I look at Democrats and Republicans here. I know a lot of Democrats who are afraid of what President Trump would do. And I can tell you a lot of Republicans are afraid of what President Biden is doing or what the next president will do. It's getting worse and worse and worse, and it's not going to get better. Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolute. We all know this. The history of our republic is replete with it. And so the idea that somehow or another people are going to say, oh, well, this is dangerous. I'll tell you what's dangerous is not taking the power that the founders gave you. If you look back at the founders and the founding documents, it was all about checks and balances. Tom mentioned that. It's all about checks and balances. And who was the ultimate check? Who did they give the real power to in the system? They gave it to you, the state legislatures. We say, how's that? Well, first off, you got to appoint one of the branches of the government, the United States Senate. That power is now gone. That was supposed to be the big check on the federal government. And all you have to do is look at the federal budget before the 17th Amendment and afterwards. Washington, D.C., before the 17th Amendment, before you gave up your power to appoint United States senators, was a backwater town, and the only tax it had was on excise tax on liquor and tariffs. That was it. It did virtually nothing. It was an inconsequential city in America. Then the Senate came in and people had to get elected by doing things for folks back home. I know you don't know what that's like, but that changed everything. And all of a sudden, poof, Washington exploded. Exploded. And there is no check anymore except one. I mean, and then when I say the explosion, you also look at the Supreme Court and all the decisions, I'll say the annotated Constitution. All these decisions that gave more and more and more power wiped out the power of the states and wiped out federalism. People say, well, you know, we can't get along in America. You can't even go to Thanksgiving dinner with your family anymore. Why? Because we're divided. That's not new, ladies and gentlemen. We fought a war 70 years after the founding of the country. It's not new that we're divided. Of course, you're a huge country. Montana is very different than New York. You have been given, final point, you have been given the power in the Constitution under Article 5 to control the federal government. That's your power. You're at the bottom of the food chain right now, but that's not where you belong. That's not where the Congress puts you. They put you at the top of the food chain. Article 5 is your power. And if you don't use it, and this country fails, it's on you. Thank you.